So, hello and welcome back to the next episode of, to the next episode of the Self Development with Tactics podcast. And we're going to discuss again Essentialism, I think the book is called, or The Essentialist. I don't know, I don't remember. I do quite hope that I haven't, quite left it out yesterday, perhaps, because I wasn't quite sure if I did it consistently enough so that I can be sure that I've did all the episodes on it I should have done and haven't just cut it out once. But even though if I have, I'm pretty sorry first of all, and second of all I will just go through it now anyway. So because I've seen the tab was open. Yeah, it was open, or it is open. Actually, no, quite it was open, but so I've seen. Yeah, okay, I haven't finished the book because I actually thought I have, but yeah, we will go through it today, and we will start by always be editing, which is definitely a point. Just to to say it before I actually read it, which is important. According to McEwen, I don't actually know how he is pronounced, to be honest. So I do not have any clue if I do it correctly. But yeah, so according to McEwen, when living the essentialism life, you should always be editing. And therefore editing means committing to the removal of anything unimportant, non-essential, or completely trivial. Yeah, that's totally true, because we just live, we are people and we live, and sometimes we just are so unaware of what we're actually doing, and therefore actually some sort of checking. Maybe you do have a schedule, or just some certain times where you do just check if everything is in the right place, and you still just cut out everything that's not important to you, or just trivial. Yeah, then it is completely good to just see, okay, no, I have missed out some points, and I could just exclude them as well. Yeah, pretty important. And the key is to be strict. Many people assume that an editor simply removes and deletes, but McEwen explains that an essentialist editor will also add. It's not all about removing things, but also adding ideas and opportunities. Here are a few ways McEwen suggests you to approach the editing process. The first one is cut. Perhaps the scariest part of the decision-making process is cutting out your option. As humans, we default to trying to keep our options open. But as McEwen points out, the word decision actually means to cut out or to kill in Latin, which is totally interesting. And this is a thing that I've seen in terms of me, so I've just pretty much experienced it as well, in terms of letting everything be open, every question or every option actually. And which is something that could just backfire so fucking hard that you can't just imagine it. It happened to me quite. I think it was because of a group work I had to do in school, and I was like, okay, I do just have want to have every option open. So with whom I'm going to make this one, therefore I was like, okay, I just let everything open, and then everything is okay. And so somebody will just do it with me, and I didn't want to stress out myself, which is something I definitely quite never do. But yeah, at the end I just fucked everything up, and I didn't have someone, as I remember correctly. I hope I do just pretty much tell you the story correctly. But as I think there wasn't anybody left with whom I could have done this group work, and so I was quite fucked. And yeah, I think it was like this. I hope, or it will be happening, because I do have my senior. What was it called? Senior project. Senior project. Yeah, my senior project until next year, probably. So yeah, totally. I have up to 5th grade, which is at my school the last grade. I have time for doing it, and yeah. So the first one is cut. The second one is condense, and this reminds me on the font condense, or condensed fonts, which are actually pretty good. I've just seen some people who are using them for all their posts, completely as a text to read, and just really text paragraphs and so on, which is definitely something I wouldn't suggest you to do, to just use it for everything. These are certain types of font you should probably only use for either really small paragraphs, at my point of view at least, and or just titles or just headlines, or subheadlines, which could work totally great, but for, all the text, no, I think not. So be as clear and conscious as possible. Don't be lengthy with explanations, and don't outbalance your effort in result ratio. McEwen explains that condensing does not equal doing more at once, but doing things with less waste. Actually, doing more than one thing at a time isn't possible at all. So just we all think that we are able to multitask, which is complete bullshit, because we can't. This is something your computer does, but it's not something you do. As they have proven, I think even scientifically, it is really just a matter of you actually just pretty much mixing two activities or more activities, and you're just jumping from one to another action or thing you're doing just really, really quickly, so that you just think like, okay, I'm multitasking it, even though at the time you're just doing the certain thing, or the other certain thing, you're not keeping attention to the other thing, so to the second thing, or you get what I mean. But yeah. The third one is correct. An editor for a magazine or website will always be correcting, whether it be grammar, spelling, or the general tone. Always be correcting, making adjustments, no matter how small they add up. And this is totally true, and this is totally something I should do as well. If I just, recognize that I've said something wrong, or I just, meant something wrong in terms of, I actually thought that I know something, but in the end it turned out that it is total bullshit that I've said. Then I will just, totally should have to just be like, okay, in this episode or that episode or whatever, or even at the last episode, I've just said some complete bullshit, and this is actually not something that's true, which is totally something that I quite should do by now, I think, because in one episode we have been speaking, it was actually Titan Tools or Tools of Titan by Tim Ferriss, which was some kind of the summary of all the podcast episodes, or all the famous people he met, or just pretty successful people he met, and with whom he was speaking, or with them he was speaking, which is just some kind of overview with everything in it. From it was actually 3 sections. The whole book was pretty much chaptered into 3 sections, or 3 chapters, whatever you want to call them, which the first one would be health, the second was wealth, and the third one was wise. So health, it's clear, wealth is also clear, and wise, I think it was something kind of mindset. I just don't remember, I'm sorry. But he was then talking about the keto diet, and I said, I actually said, I don't know, which is totally the truth, or was totally the truth. I didn't know if it is really a good thing to cut out every single carbohydrate you're consuming. At my point of view, by now, I still think, no, it's not good to cut out everything. But I always thought like, yeah, okay, just cutting out the carbohydrates, in terms of not getting fat or just being healthier or some shit like this, I don't know. Maybe it will just burn a lot of fat, but because I don't need it and I don't want it, I totally want to burn a little bit fat, but I actually want to gain weight because I'm pretty skinny, to be honest. I'm pretty I think you can see that I'm working out though, but I'm pretty skinny. I'm not just that massive guy or something, which you totally think you can see. But so therefore, it just always depends on what you want to get, or where you want to get to. If you're really a person who wants to just pretty much lose weight, then maybe having a keto diet or just not eating any carbohydrates would be good, even though, which was something I've been thinking about, okay, if you just cut out all the carbohydrates, which are basically the just factors that really make you filled or make you feel filled, at my point of view. It just totally is like, okay, if you're just eating 1000 calories just at once, you totally feel filled. But the thing is with carbohydrates, you just, stay filled or just stay feeling filled. Um, and therefore, so as I know it, I'm not quite sure, this is in terms of eating and health and such things, it's always a little bit complicated and difficult to just say something because, yeah, often even, science just says something on the other day and then on another day they say the complete difference or complete opposite. So therefore, some things are totally clear and just make sense and so on, even for science. But yeah, so I don't know if you should use the keto diet. It is actually something I have recognized that in times where I haven't been drinking any juices, haven't used honey or any other sweetener, or some things like this, I was pretty leaner than I'm just right now. Maybe it was in terms of me actually doing, because I've only been seeing it in terms of my abs and so on. Maybe it is even because I've done more ab workouts or more ab exercises in my workouts that I'm doing right now, and I just basically made different workouts or different workouts, which maybe even the reason for me just looking leaner because the muscles were much bigger or yeah. So therefore. Yeah, I quite understand and I quite get it that, just cutting out something, yeah, might result in burning fat. I don't know. It is true that carbohydrates just get stored up pretty easily, or it seems to be like in glucose. I don't know if this is, the right term in English. I don't know. But they get stored up just before they get stored up as fat, and this certain thing, as I know, I'm not quite sure, and this certain thing then just transfers into fat, basically, I think. The thing that I'm always thinking about is, yeah, if you just wanna lose weight, you should just only eat things that are in total just less than you're using. So therefore, if you're just using, I don't know, 2000 calories a day, then just only eating 1.7 would be a good idea because you're just lacking, 0.3 thousand calories or 300 calories, which then will totally let you lose weight. There's no reason, and it is physically not just possible that you're not losing weight, at my point of view. If you're doing this over a certain period of time, you will definitely lose fat or definitely lose body weight, at my point of view. So just I think it is. But let's move on just to just to use the time and maybe get through the whole. I think we actually can finish this one today, which would be on one side good, on the other side it would be a little bit because I wouldn't know what I should do after this one. So set the limitation and boundaries. We may be predisposed to view limitations and boundaries as just that, limitations. There is a negative connotation that comes along with the words, which is totally true. However, McEwen explains that essentialism will actually allow you to be empowered by boundaries. It means that you are protected against the evils of distractions and people abusing your time. It provides you the freedom to work on your own tasks and activities without the constant worry of an interruption. Feel free to set boundaries and limitations in your workplace. Close your office door so that people won't barge in, whatever, or explain that you won't be replying to emails or taking phone calls between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. As long as you make it clear and set time limits, these boundaries will not hinder your work but allow you to thrive, which is totally true, and which is also a thing in terms of your health and in terms of your eating habits. It would be just a great thing to not have any unhealthy things at home. So then you're just forced by these boundaries to just eat something healthy or eat something different, which is totally a thing I have been thinking about today. Because I just wanted to make a post about health and that actual healthy food isn't as expensive as all the people are saying. Yeah, it's so expensive and I can't buy it because it's too expensive for me and I just do have to eat the shit because it's so cheap and so on. yeah, I think totally just, eating a bag of Cheetos or some shit like this will probably be cheater, not cheater, but cheaper than actually having, I don't know, fresh meat and organic meat even, or, all these other healthy things like vegetables or even fruits and so on. Um, the point is that actually the last weekend, my girlfriend and I have seen a documentary because I do just really don't want to watch any other movies than just documentaries. But because I just feel like, okay, I'm using this time to just relax, some sorta, and I shouldn't do it. I kind of feel like, okay, I can't just watch a regular movie. I do just have to watch a documentary, because with the documentary I will just learn something additional to just what I'm learning during the day as well. So this is what I'm aiming for, and this is what I feel like. Okay, um, this is just what I want. I don't know yet if this is a good approach to it, or if I shouldn't even just watch any movies. Even though I'm just a pretty visual guy, I would say I like to just have infographics and all these kind of stuffs, and it seems for me like to work great in terms of learning. But yeah, and the actual point I wanted to make is that in this documentary, which was Food Inc., which is probably pretty interesting, and only interesting if you are living in the United States, because yeah, it's basically based in the United States, and it is only about the United States. And so therefore there was like, in the movie, Coca-Cola is so cheap, or actual cola, I think it wasn't Coca-Cola, but cola was so cheap, and they just had to buy cola because it was maybe even cheaper than the fucking water. And there was like, okay, no, they won't buy that broccoli, because for the same price the broccoli cost, they would get two full burgers, or two cheeseburgers on or in McDonald's, which was something I thought about, like, would I then just buy the broccoli, or would I just go to McDonald's and buy two hamburgers? I'll spoiler you, I hate McDonald's some kinda, because I'm not eating there. I just don't want to, and I quite feel like, okay, it is actually pretty expensive, at least in Europe, or in Austria. Actually, it is fucking expensive. You just spend 8 fucking euros, or yeah, actually 8 euros. It's, I think, kind of the minimum of what you have to just pay for having a meal, just a real menu kind of thing, where you have a burger and your fries and something to drink and all this kind of stuff, and not only one burger, which is totally a lot of money. For this money, you could totally go to, I don't know, to any other restaurant and just eat spaghetti, or something that's not that fucking unhealthy. The thing is, every break I'm having, I do have just sometimes two, or no, actually it isn't 2 hours, but 2 times 15 minutes of break as a main break, some sort of, where I do just can get my food and just eat something and get ready for the other lessons I have on this day. And I normally just pay around 3 euros, even less than 3 euros. Sometimes I'm really cheap, like 80 cents and so on, which is totally working out for me. It's not like I'm eating the most, I don't know, luxurious fucking things, but I just can't deal with it. I'm eating my bread, I'm eating my fish, I'm eating my, I don't know, nuts. It's nuts are even pretty good and work pretty well in terms of the price, and in terms of how much they are, because often it is like, okay, I do just need a lot of food to just be filled. It's just incredible how much food I need. And therefore I'm just having to just look at the price and be like, okay, is it worth the value in terms of the weight, and will I get filled from it, or will I stay hungry? But yeah, I think, yeah, the fourth one, executor. McEwen explains that someone who forces execution is not practicing I don't know, practicing the essentialism lifestyle. Execution should be effortless and true. Essentialists achieve this by eliminating the non-essentials and using the time in a productive manner. And what about the unexpected? McEwen explains that the one of the that one of the key characteristics of essentialists is the ability to look ahead, to plan and prepare. An essentialist always needs to expect the unexpected and be continuously prepared for unplanned or accidental. There are no guarantees in life, and as we are all aware, things don't always go to plan. You can't predict this, but you can prepare for it. McEwen suggests adding a time buffer to tasks. For example, if you estimate a task will take you 2 hours to complete from beginning to end, add 50% of buffer to your allocated time slot, which is totally a good thing in terms of really having a big time plan over several weeks. You should totally have some, buffer times in it, maybe even just quite a lot, which is always the thing in just, projects that will just quite last over, even months or just maybe even years. It is essential to just have enough time. It's not like, especially in school products where you just have to have a end result at a certain, date or a certain time or whatever. This is fucking important. Just be dealing good with your time and just seeing okay and having at least just enough time. Having too much time wouldn't even be good. I think having a little bit too much time is okay, I think, but having way too much time is actually something I would say is also not that good. So by allocating 3 hours instead of 2, you give yourself some flexibility and take off some pressure. And if you're lucky enough to finish before the 3 hours are up, you can move something else forwards and get started on it early or take a well-deserved break. The other way you can prepare for unexpected is to partake in what McEwen calls scenario planning. Ask yourself the following questions before you take on any task or opportunity. The first one is actually a pretty lot of questions here. The first one is, when starting this project, what risk are you taking on? Which is definitely a good thing, because if you just, this is definitely something that I have been talking about, I think 2 episodes from today as well, which is just being like, okay, or it was even yesterday. I think it was even yesterday. So it is, okay, have I done another book yesterday? I think yes. I hope yes. Yeah, should be okay. If you're thinking like, okay, what, yeah, okay, I don't know. I just go on with it and I just explain it afterwards, because I do not really know if it is really fitting that good. So yeah, the second one is, consider the worst case scenario and how would they affect you. The third one is, are there any social effects? The fourth one is, what is the likely financial effect? The fifth one is, what can you do to reduce these risks? And the sixth one is, what can you do to strengthen financial and social resilience? Actually, all good questions, but what I wanted to point out is that if you do just have a situation or an option to take, and it is whether a yes or it's a not. As the essentialist said, I think it is actually 100% yeah, fucking hell yeah, or it is no, and it should definitely be some kind of a 90% thing. So 90% being yeah, it is a great thing in terms of actually the return I get from it, and how much fun it is and what status it just gives me, or all these shit like this. And yeah, just having an option being like, okay, what's the worst case scenario and what's the best case scenario? And then being like, okay, my worst case scenario is maybe a 3 out of 10, you just rate it. And then you're like, okay, but the best case scenario is a 7 out of 10. And therefore it would be just logic and just good to use your best case scenario and just go for the best case scenario, because a 7 out of 10, if achieved, is way better than having a temporary and maybe just really, really just kind of unnecessary 3 out of 10, in terms of, actually being bad. So therefore it's actually nearly good or hardly good. Yeah. Remove obstacles. And do you have an overpowering obstacle that is continuously having an effect on your progress? Question mark. Is there anything holding you back from your achievements? The key is to identify what the obstacle is and how to remove it, and to remove it. Sorry. There is no war around this. You have to eliminate the obstacle. McEwen explains that a non-essentialist will likely use the band-aid approach rather than looking for the deeper obstacle that is truly preventing progress. They will look on the surface for things that are immediate or obvious and easy to eliminate. McEwen points out that you need to remember that sometimes productive tasks such as research or email can actually be the significant obstacle affecting your results. Definitely, if you're just wasting your time with fucking emails and things that don't really that much, then you're wasting a lot of time for things that you could, or just a lot of time you could use to work on things that are actually 100% their thing. And if you're interested in it and just, pretty much the one thing, just principle in terms of, you're actually focusing on one particular thing to just go around this problem that I've been discussing right now, or just right before, which is, as I said, you have certain tasks and some might be just more important than others. And then you just, by the one thing, you cut out everything that is not that one thing that is important. Maybe you just want to be rich and therefore you make the number one thing saving or investing even, or saving and investing. And therefore you can just totally focus on saving and investing. If you're like, okay, it is everything 90%, then okay, they're actually speaking about this. Never mind, but I think you get it. And if you're interested in it, just go through the one thing summary, just Google it. I've actually made not a book review, but a video about it. I don't know which of it is, but you totally will see it in the video description, where I just by now, or quite right now, do just all the time put in a little summary of what I've been going through in the actual episode, because it is on one side very good for you, because you can just see, okay, this is what this episode is about. Is this something I need? Is this something I just want to know? Or is this something that gives me any value? If yes, you maybe are watching it, and if no, you totally click away and just search for another video. And on the other side, it's good for the SEO, because I am then pretty much able to just have more words in my video description, and therefore I'm pretty much able to to having more of the keywords that I'm using as tags and or in the title just to use, because I do have just 1,800 and I think 99 characters to use, so therefore I just could put a lot of additional tags, or just some things that are correlated to the tags and to the title, and just making the video more search engine friendly, I would say. But so rather than having emails, So McEwen points out that you need to remember that sometimes productive tasks such as research or email can actually be the significant obstacle affecting your results. By checking emails too regularly, you're facing regular interruptions and holding the flow of your more important work. Rather than having emails open all day every day, try checking only twice a day. Which is, I think, on the other side, actually pretty good in terms of not just overwhelming yourself with just wanting to know or wanting to see if there is a new email. I think it is okay to just totally look into your emails once or twice, and then you actually maybe just more happy about having an email if you're not getting emails that regularly, than just checking it every single time and waiting for it and hoping for it that it will arrive and all this fucking shit. But make progress. Could we go through? We can totally go through this today, and I will do. So make progress. We are often predisposed to trying to get everything done and all at once, which is totally something that won't work. And we won't celebrate until we have completed everything. But McEwen explains that essentialists actually start small with only a few small tasks, and they celebrate progress rather than the completion. Anything that is helping you progress closer to the goals is worthy of a small celebration. there is evidence behind this, research has expressed that progress is the single most effective form of motivation, which is totally true, which is also something that I've just very lately, it was actually yesterday, I've been seeing in one of Tony Robbins' pretty much interviews. It wasn't quite an interview, it was he was just speaking with one of his or two of his students, which had their own business, and one of them just made 1 million in fucking 24 hours, and they were pretty much in the game, even though they had some kind of problems. And then Tony just pointed out that having progress and seeing that something is going on is actually a pretty great motivation. And it's the truth, if you can just see, okay, what I'm doing is just working, and what I'm doing just has some sort of return, then you're actually more motivated to go on and be like, okay, I put that much time into it, and so if I put more time into it, will then the return be even more? And you will totally be motivated by that, and just try everything to maybe make your return a little bit bigger, and make more out of it, and I don't know. So there is a reason that when trying to lose weight, you should weigh yourself along the way to check you are making progress. Even if the goal is to lose 10 kg, every single kg lost is worthy of a small celebration. And without those individual kgs, you would lose motivation quickly. A small concrete win creates momentum and affirms your faith in your further success, actually. McEwen explains that he calls the minimal viable progress method. In using this method, when you approach a task, ask yourself, what is the smallest amount of progress that will be useful and valuable to the essential task we are trying to get done? If there is something small that you can achieve right now that will help you progress just a little bit further, then it's worth doing. For example, if you just want to have or be pretty rich, just earning even €1 at this day or at this time in this hour is even just pretty good, because it's one step further towards your goal. Or it's just progress, even though it's small and it's really small steps. It's progress. It's just progress. You can either be like, okay, it is nothing because it's quite nothing, or you can look at it as actual progress, and it is always in terms of what you're doing. And he's just really cranking up right now. I don't know why. I hope the audio still is good. And it's totally up to you. If you're like, okay, I'm looking at the negative sides of life, you will totally only get the negative sides. But if you're like, okay, I will only just look at the positive sides of life, then you will get the positive ones. Routine is important. The Essentialist designs a routine that makes achieving what you have identified as essential the default position. Totally. And this is, quite the thing that I'm always talking about in terms of setting goals and values and only making decisions based on your goals and values. And therefore, you're just creating yourself a framework that is pretty much based on your goals and values. And if you just follow this framework, every day, every week, every month, every year, there is no chance that you're not, if it's, goodly planned or well planned, that you just won't achieve your fucking dream or your fucking success story or whatever you want to achieve, your achievement. There is no way, because this is a plan and this is a concrete plan. And as long as it is, sorry, my fucking nose is it tingling? I think it is tingling. Tingling. It's a nice word. A pretty nice word. But yeah. So yes, in some instances, an essentialist still has to work hard, but with the right routine in place, each effort yields exponentially greater results. Totally. So McEwen explains that having a secure and well thought out routine is an essential part of removing obstacles. Having routine will encourage work on the essentials, allowing you to focus on these. If you lack any kind of routine, then the non-essential become more prominent and we are easily distracted by these. Having a great consistent routine will allow you to automate these essential tasks and prevent interruptions. Research shows that up to 40% of the decisions and choices we make are actually unconscious. And that's definitely true, because they're just, you could even say that they are already based on your values and goals and things that you're maybe just thinking right now. Okay. this could be even the thing that you're just making your choice in terms of your worldview and what it is and so on. And therefore, I do just have to say, having a good goal or good value, if you know what I mean, this is something that's totally different for everybody, is good, because if you follow your dreams and your values, but if they are shit, you won't get anywhere. So McCune explains that this fact can be used both to our advantage and to our disadvantage. It does mean that we have the ability to create routines and skills that will become instinctive. However, if we allow ourselves to develop routines that are unproductive and focus on the non-essential, we are in trouble, which is basically the thing that I was just talking about. And the thing is, it will totally make it an instinct, because if you're doing something over and over and fucking over again, it will be in your fucking mind, and especially in your fucking unconscious mind. And this is then something that drives you subconsciously. And then you won't know it, but you will still just get to your goal and get achieving your values and just maintaining your values and so on. So McCune has 5 key tips to ensure that you are focusing on and developing the right routines. The first one is overhaul your triggers. Change what triggers mean to you, prompting you to do something productive instead. Okay, the whole trigger thing is definitely something that is pretty difficult for me to understand in terms of the language mostly, because it makes sense that you should just have or create triggers for yourself to just make you productive or happy or whatever. Maybe you just make yourself which is a pretty funny one, to be honest. You maybe make yourself a trigger that every time you're holding a fucking spoon, you're just smiling, but consciously smiling. And sometimes I think you're just holding a fucking spoon and you're just smiling like a piece of shit. And all the people were like, why the fuck are you just laughing or just smiling? And you're like, yeah, you made yourself the trigger. Yeah. Would actually be totally funny. And the second one is create new triggers. Okay, I just see now. The first one was actually just looking at your triggers and being like, okay, could I actually change them, or change what they mean, or change their output maybe? The third one is always do the most important thing first, which is a good thing. Yeah. The fourth one is have different routines to create variety, different ones for different days of the week. Yeah, it could actually be true, just having another routine on just Monday to Friday, and on the weekends you have something different, or can do something different, or you are doing something different. So what is important now? To operate at your highest level of contribution requires that you deliberately tune in to what is important in the here and now. Every second spent worrying about the past or the future moment distracts you from what is important in the here and now, which is totally true. And it is definitely bullshit to dwell about the past and just think about the past. Thinking about the future is something important at my point of view, because I pretty much like the long-term game, even though it's definitely quite exhausting, and it's maybe just making you cry, because it seems like in the now and here that you're not achieving anything, but it just needs time, and therefore patience is pretty fucking important. Something that I have to remind myself quite often on, because I often feel like, okay, yeah, I'm doing so much for this and not seeing the results yet. So I do not see people who are actually watching my stuff. I do not see people who are actually listening to my podcast. I do not have too much people who are actively engaging with my content on Instagram and all the other social media platforms. It's just facts. It's totally facts. And I'm pretty much talking to myself right now. I'm talking to an audience that's not there yet. I do quite think about is it actually the thing I should be doing? Is it the thing that will get me further or just nearer or whatever to my goal? Is it? And I don't know it exactly. I know that I'm pretty much a little bit concerned about the internet being such a good choice of mine. It is a great choice, but I do not know if it is actually working. But The thing is, I should know, because there are a lot of data and proven data and whatever that really shows, yeah, you can make a living with the internet. It's just, I think, hard work and being patient and just looking forward to just giving value to the people and just giving them a nice time, and not even just thinking about the success itself, only just thinking about how could I serve the people and how could I make something good for them. Something that I as well do just remind myself quite often on, because I pretty much tend to forget it quite easily. And so therefore just saying yourself, okay, just, keep a little bit more attention on that one. It is important, is actually a good thing. Be an essentialist. So McEwen explains that there are two ways you can think about being an essentialist. Firstly, essentialism is something you do when you can. Secondly, essentialism is something that you are, and the second way of thinking is preferred. It encourages incorporating the key characteristics of essentialism into your life and creating a lifestyle. Let it become who you are, not just something you do occasionally. Yeah. So if you take one thing away from this book, I hope you will remember this. Whatever decision or challenge or crossroads you face in your life, simply ask yourself, what is essential? And eliminate everything else. That's totally true, because this is even something I just recognized today, because I've always been like, okay, what could I learn? What could I figure out? What do I need right now? The thing is, I've never quite been keeping attention to the posts that I'm actually been making to now. So therefore analyzing them and seeing, okay, what's working, what's not working, why couldn't it be working, and why is that one working, is actually something that I should do. Why? Because, then I just know what the people want. Something pretty easy, because I do have the data. I have more than 500 posts, and therefore I should be able to do it. But let's move on with the conclusion and maybe the further read, but I don't know. Maybe definitely the action steps. So the key takeaways: change your mindset, always a good one. Okay, depends. Remember, you have the ability to choose what you focus on. Totally, almost everything is unimportant. Yeah, make a choice. What problems do you want? It's about living by design and not by default. Be constantly learning, growing, and discovering. It's either a hell yeah or no. And if you're not super passionate about something, you don't have to do it. Use no to your power. Just be graceful when you reject opportunities. Be constantly editing. Eliminate the non-essential, and routines are crucial. And with the last one, always expect the unexpected and be prepared. So I just want to read the book titles. It would be even good to know what they're about, but let's go through the action steps. So download the full book, actually a good one, or buy it as a paperback. I think there is actually I don't know, maybe there is. The next time you are approached with a new opportunity, consider McEwen's 90% rule. If it doesn't meet your criteria, then don't accept it. If you want to know what the 90% rule is, then I would highly suggest you to go to the last episode. I've been talking about this book. It's basically like 3 factors, that which 2 of them are pretty much quite validated, or just if 2 or 3 are there, then you're saying yes. If not, totally not. Instead, McEwen suggests that we replace these notions with what he calls the 3 core truths. When you are busy, by replacing phrases such as I have to or I can do both with the following: I choose to, only a few things really matter, and I can do anything but not everything. Take a good look at your projects and commitments, consider what you truly want to focus on and work towards. Anything that is not serving your goals can be eliminated, and that's totally the truth, Everything else would just distract you from actually going to your, or just quite achieving your goals. You could still do them, but it might be just taking a lot more time than it just has to. Yeah, and this was actually it. I quite don't have the time. So let's go through the books. So the first book would be called The Power of Less. It is a guide on how to declutter life, life and work to create more time for important things. Okay. Minimalism, Live a Meaningful Life by Joshua Fields, Milburn, and would be another one. Send to Done is Leo Bauter's response to two of the best and most popular productive systems, David Allen's Getting Things Done and Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Successful People. Allen and Covey's books have been summarized already on my site. Leo Bauter's guide is an interesting new take on the two systems, taking the best concepts from each and okay. So the life-changing magic of tidying up, which is basically you should just make your bed, I think. Is a really interesting read all about being more organized and intentional with what you choose to own and how this can impact your way of thinking and perspectives on life. This book is ideal for anyone who is looking for to transform their life in a little bit and get rid of all the non-essential, and I've misread that. But yeah, this is actually it with the episode. I hope you got something out of it. Hope everything is clear. Hope everything is good. And if there's something you want to tell me, totally just hit me up on the social media platform you would like the most. There are all the links down in the podcast description, so not in the description. Yeah, actually also in the description of this particular episode, but more I would just ask you to go to the podcast description. And with that being said, I wish you health, wealth, success, happiness. Most of it would be happiness or should be happiness. I hope you're giving back something and a great legacy. And with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day. Or night, actually.